Okay, so The Fly and the Mosquito. Sounds like a children's book. The Fly and the Mosquito. Alright. The funny part that I didn't mention earlier, as I mentioned it briefly, and I especially noticed this with the fly. One thing you have to know about, let's just say, a particular entity, that if they were to, let's just say, mechanically build such a creature, lifelike, almost in every way, certainly every way in appearance, let you get right up on it. The one thing you have to remember, and I will cover this in something next that I'm going to call Nasty Habits of they or them, if they were to do that, you have to understand that an entity like that, or an entity as exactly that, besides just wanting not only, greed and lots of money, more money, all the money, and then finally bored with that, so are controlling you and all that stuff, and want to rule, and just power mongers or mongrels and all that stuff. They, to the best of my comprehension or observation, are unbelievable control freaks. And it would literally take me months to take you through every single thing that's been done to me. But incredible control freaks. I keep centering all of this. If you can talk about anything in the world, and it will center around this entity. And that's why, a good segue into all of this is actually Heather's story, and Randy's story, although somebody's trying to discredit Randall now, but I'll have to look into everything deeper, but just for now, based on what I've heard, I'm going to take it at face value for now, and it seems to be somewhat on the up and up, and okay. And something about it, there's something about it that I personally like, because there was, as I told you earlier, what seems to be, and I know there's one person that's already admitted this, a huge influx of shills that have come onto the scene on popular video sites, or just sites in general, and just bombarded. I will let you folks know this: for every good, truthful, this is their goal. If there were an entity to exist like that, it is very likely, possibly, could be, a good guesstimation would be, for every good, true video that is, or article that is put out, they must match it with an exact opposite propaganda type video or article or whatever that basically says the very opposite. It's very easy to tell the ones who are guilty of that. Now, you may have two people that have the same kind of negative info. One may be just jealous that the other one's experiencing all the success and discovered certain things that the rest of us haven't yet, or something, I don't know. And then there's another possibility where it could be, of course, the entity responsible for it. And I think I gave an example of that a few parts back, stating that, if, well, no, I don't have to use if, because it's documented. A certain entity's former director it has been posted online as saying the American public will, or our disinformation program, if I remember this correctly, I think it said something maybe, could be possibly like, our disinformation program. We know our disinformation program will be complete when every American believes everything we say, or something like that. You know, if I recall correctly. You know, from the beginning, I've just, for me personally, I've always just called it what it's always been. I call it disinfo, dispersion, and diversion. That's exactly what it is. And, you know, if an entity like that existed, I just did a little figuring one, and I just sat down and ran some numbers, and, you know, it was absurd, people, the number that I got, the percentage number I got, of how much of that entity's, of course, if an entity like that existed, just how much of a percentage they base on complete BS. It came out to, I did this a few years ago actually, it was something like 80%, 81%. And as I ran it again the other night, it was between 87 and 90%. And that's just based on, so in other words, they, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I have no idea why there has to be some kind of force in the universe, or entity in the universe, that feels that, you know, has to lie to people and cheat people, and, you know, or worse, you know, of course, you know, all the other much worse things. I mean, why, you know? I just don't get it. I just wish it would stop. But I know what it's going to take for it to stop. And unfortunately for now, I'll just keep it to myself. But, or maybe I've already mentioned it, who knows. Anyway, so I'm gonna save the nasty habits part of this just before I cover the last part of the update on the shills there. Closing out the fly and the mosquito. The fly, as I've noticed, and I believe I've seen the mosquito a few times, but this is why I was getting to control freaks. You see what I mean? There's so much to talk about. It's unbelievable. Anyway, there's such control freaks. The fly must go in, or find a way, somehow always finds a way into a closed door bathroom. When, let's just say, if I go in to take a shower, and the mosquito as well a couple of times, but most times the fly, and I think the mosquito may get hung up in the carpet there, or the trim, or maybe even the hard bathroom floor, who knows. But that's one definite thing I've noticed. Here's the other thing about the mosquito, and it's all ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous, you know. What I've noticed about the mosquito is actually, and of course I don't kill things ever, because if they have, you know, they've either got the most unique personalities I've ever seen on insects, otherwise they seem to be artificial in some way, shape, or form to me. But one night I did something with an experiment with a mosquito. I'll tell you about it in about 15 minutes.